Hello investors, welcome to Market Ka Gyaan. I am Narendra Solanki. Now, in first part, we have seen what is moat and what are the factors which are categorized as the moats. Now, in first video, we have given 5 moats. Now, we will explain and we will also see some examples of how the companies which are enjoying one of these moats and how to study them. So first of all, start with switching costs. So switching costs are, as explained, when a customer's cost to switch to another product or supplier exceeds the value they would get from making that switch. Hence, it is becoming impossible for the customers and it is very positive and favorable for existing companies. So companies would try to increase the switching costs of the customers. The incumbent supplier or provider with pricing power then can in turn lead to economic profits. Now, it's not just monetary in nature. Switching costs can also be measured by the effort, time, and psychological toll it takes to switch to another competitor. Switching costs provide a company with the leverage to increase prices and deliver substantial profits over time. They are a key competitive advantage and are evident in range of industries like banks, computer software, hardware, to telecoms, among others. Intangible assets. Intangible assets is another moat. Patents are a legal entity and they are entry barrier and protect the companies from unauthorized commercial uses of their products by competitors. Similarly, government licenses may raise the entry hurdles for new competition. Additionally, brand equity, a customer's willingness to pay for a product or service, also increases the entry barrier. Although not always easy to quantify, intangible assets are one of the primary sources of strong competitive advantages for businesses and a key economic mode source. Third is network effect. A network effect is something which grows with the reach. Yes, you get it right. This mode source has become increasingly relevant as our world has grown increasingly digital. It describes the phenomena where the value of a product or services increases as the number of subscribers or users grows. For example, internet is a good example. It originally had few uses outside the military and research sciences, but is expanding user base and has exploded its reach now, and the impact is clearly visible. Fourth is cost leadership, which provides market control. Companies that are able to produce and offer products and services at much lower cost than its competitors are often able to achieve higher profit margins. Within many industries, which are cost leaders, often exert significant control over the markets and prices, which give them an advantage over competitors. The cost advantage mode source is the second most frequent source of economic mode ratings. The cost advantages are often gained through economies of scale, lower distribution, better manufacturing practices, lower manufacturing cost, efficient processes which enables lower manufacturing cost. The increased level of competition in today's global economy makes the competitive advantage one of the most difficult for the companies to maintain. Now coming to the fifth, efficient scale, which leads to natural monopoly. Virtually every company dreams of a market with a few competitors, an environment with only a handful of business rivals, and which can become one where efficient scale is possible, according to companies. Companies that benefit from this mode typically operate in a market that may only support one or a very few competitors, which limits competitive pressure. Additionally, for efficient markets, market entry often requires very high capital costs, which are not justifiable by the limited profit potential a new competitor might achieve. So the return on capital is very low because of that. Efficient scale commonly applies to companies involved in telecommunication, utilities, railway infrastructure, pipelines, airports. So these are the businesses where you will see these kind of moves. Now, we have discussed the 5 sources of moats. Now, within these 5 sources of moat, there are 3 categories of moat is also there, which can be defined for each of these moats. And these categories are wider moat, narrower moat, and no moat. So, in each category, whenever a company is having a stronger moat sources, then that is clubbed in wider moat, which means the company is very strong in its moat sources. Then, when a company's moat is not so strong, but still it offers some degree of protection for that company, then it is clubbed into narrow moat. And if in any of these 5 sources of moat, the moat deteriorates over the time and more company enters into the segment, then that category, that those companies are put into the category of no moat. So that's it on the moat, and I think we have explained you the different kind of moats, different sources of moats, and how the moats is important in investing. So stay tuned for our next video on Market Ka Gyaan. Thank you.
Investment in securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.